Hey guys, this is Pavana
And I am Rachana with another interesting video. Hope you enjoy.
On what basis are chemical bonds distinguished?
They are distinguished on their relationship with other atoms.
Yes, the relationship of an atom are called bonds. Their relationship distance is called bond length.
Bond length is the distance between two nuclei at the point of minimum energy.
In other words, where the attractive and repulsive force cancel each other out.
As we know, the minimum energy for a C12 gas is negative 239 kilojoules per mole when the distance between is 0.00199 nanometer. This distance is called bond length of C12 chlorine gas.
Now, because the electrons are attracted to both nuclei in the molecule, they actually spend majority of their time in the space between them.
This is often described as sharing electron.
And we call this kind of bond a covalent bond.
However, not all sharing is equal.
The strength with which an atom holds shared electrons is called its electronegativity.
If two atoms in a bond have very different electronegativities, like hydrogen at 2.1 and oxygen at 3.5, the electrons are more attracted to the atom with higher electronegativity.
The difference is so great that electrons spend most of the time around the stronger atom and much less time around the other one. When electrons hang out to one side of the bond, it creates a slight positive charge around the other atom. This separation of charge is called polarity.
And it is this polarity of the molecules that these atoms from H2O that make water the most important molecule of the earth.
Covalent bond like this is attracted more to one atom than the other, causing a separation of charge called polar covalent bonds.
However, when a covalent bond is formed between two identical atoms, like the chlorine atoms in the graphs earlier, the electrons are distributed evenly. We call this non-polar covalent bond.
However, if we consider the midpoint where the atoms aren't identical but with similar electronegativities like hydrogen with an electronegativity of 2.1 and sulfur with 2.5.
The difference here is so tiny that the electrons are pretty much still evenly distributed. And we call that a non-polar covalent bond as well.
Also, covalent bonds tend to form non-metals and sometimes metalloids.
Metals on the other hand have loosely held outer electron shells. So they are constantly dropping electrons and becoming positive ion. And when positive ion come across negative ion, like those formed from halogen for instance,
they are attracted to each other, which means energy is required to keep them apart.
Which means that they are going to bond if they can, creating that wonderful point of minimum energy.
Because the ions are formed when one atom loses electron and the other atom gains it, then we often say that an ionic bond is formed by the transfer of electrons from one atom to another.
And we can calculate the amount of energy that exists in a bond between ions and a given distance using a formula called Coulomb's law. This works only for the ionic bond because we need the charge of the ions which covalent bonds don't have.
Ionic bonds are extremely polar, way more polar than the covalent bonds. Here, ionic compounds are often crystalline in their solid state and they are generally soluble in water because the ions interact separately with the positive and negative charged areas on water molecule and the solution state usually conducts electricity.
On the other hand, covalent compounds are solids, liquids and gases in room temperature. Moreover, they are insoluble in water. Even if they are soluble in water, they don't conduct electricity.
To know why bonds are formed and why the reactions takes place, watch the upcoming video done by Alan Paul by clicking here. This is us signing off for now, but don't worry, we'll be back soon with another cool video. Until then, stay tuned to our channel. See ya!